Onyx says that the developers are cooking. Now, what do they even mean by this, even though nothing I say is financial advice? Well, they made this post and they're talking about how the Onyx Goliath testnet validator dashboard is now live. Now, keep in mind, Goliath is their layer one blockchain, so at least they're doing something, right? And I guess maybe it's not like actual cooking, but you know what I mean, right? It feels like they're at least doing something in my perspective and not just doing nothing. Again, I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but sometimes people have to tell me, well, this is going on when it comes to Onyx. Okay, sure, they're planning to do the mainnet of their layer one blockchain in Q1 of this year. We'll wait and see exactly when that happens. But they say with all this, why is XCN doing nothing? Well, here's the thing. Okay, maybe it's down quite a lot from where it was around a year ago, but actually, XCN is up around 65% in the past 30 days. So is it doing that bad? Sure, the pullback has been pretty extensive, but at least I've seen a slight recovery. Market cap as of right now is around that 300 million range. Before, sure, it was around a billion, but at least I saw around a 65% recovery in the past 30 days. That's my perspective. And sure, I'll never be able to know exactly when there could be an altcoin season, but when I take a look at the fundamentals of Onyx, being focused on global trade and finance, when I take a look at what they're trying to do with their layer one blockchain, which is still in the testnet, just the hypothetical idea of 25 cents, it's still something I'm thinking about. And one of the major reasons why is just because I don't view the market cap at that point as being something so ridiculous to me, at least. Because, sure, the market cap it would have at that point, considering current circulating supply, would be around 9 billion. But my perspective is that XCN, as of right now, is top 4, right? In terms of popularity within the global trade and finance space. So if it could even still maintain that, or let's say it dips to like number 5 or something like that, if there was an altcoin season, considering the historical track record and in terms of the attention that the projects that are focused on global trade and finance kind of had, right, back then, and also on top of that, considering the popularity of something like Stellar, something like XDC, that market cap just wouldn't seem that ridiculous to me. Maybe in a make-believe scenario, I'll have to wait and see though, but I'm just saying, it wouldn't seem so ridiculous to me, but again, only time will tell. The thing about Onyx is that it just doesn't have that many competitors that are that popular to begin with. Like, okay, Stellar is number 2, XDC is number 3. This is number 4, I think, arguably. And then number 5 is Zebic. Number 6 or number 7 is like either XP or Swiftcoin. I just don't think that's that many. Not to mention, when I take a look at Onyx as well, people like to tell me, well, how does XDC or Stellar doing good, sort of benefit something like this? Well, I think that it may not be direct, but as the old saying goes, right? A high tide raises all ships. So if let's say a market leader or one of the market leaders has something good happen to it, I don't know why it wouldn't like necessarily kind of elevate sort of the reputation of the other projects within this space. It's like, for instance, if let's say, for whatever reason, burgers became a pretty big narrative at a place where I open a restaurant and I'm selling burgers in a make-believe scenario. Sure, I'm not the only burger restaurant there, but it kind of benefits all the burger restaurants, right? Because the popularity increased. So when people like to tell me, well, Stellar or XDC doing good, it's not going to matter. Well, why not for something like Onyx? Also not only just Onyx, but I'm talking about like Zebic and all this. Why not, right? It's like, for instance, during an altcoin season, it's not like only a particular type of project does pretty okay. It's usually we see a lot, in some cases, do pretty okay, right? So when it comes to the concept of that, and then I kind of apply it to global trade and finance, I don't know why it'd be any different. If let's say there was kind of attention, or let's say a project in there did pretty good, became kind of popular, I think some of it may hypothetically trickle down to other projects too that may not necessarily have such a massive market cap. And I think that even despite XCN having a market cap that is around 300 million as of right now, it's nowhere near like around a billion in which XDC has as of right now, or XLM, which has the many billions of market cap. But in my perspective, if for whatever reason they do gain some sort of momentum during an altcoin season, if some were to maybe hypothetically trickle down to this, it wouldn't necessarily surprise me. Now, also on top of that as well, Onyx, I feel like people like to underestimate its sort of accomplishments, right? Because they like to say, well, only having the testnet pretty much being the main thing that Onyx is caring about, and I'm talking about the testnet of its layer one blockchain, sometimes people like to say it's not good enough. But in my perspective, at least there's progress in terms of what they're doing. It's kind of difficult sometimes to even have the test net. Some of the projects out there, they struggle to do pretty much like almost anything, it feels like to me. But when it comes to Onyx, it feels like, sure, they haven't done the mainnet when it comes to its layer 1 blockchain, but at least they've done the testnet, right? And seeing this recent post as of late that they made about Goliath, again, their layer 1 blockchain, it just gives me a little bit of a sense of happiness, I suppose, that they're actually sticking with what they're doing. I'd rather have a project stick with what they're doing and at least doing something, even though it may not be the greatest thing of all time, as opposed to some other projects out there that have a lot of ambitions, but then they're just not really doing anything. They're not following through. So I like how Onyx seems to be following through. But again, I think the main thing that I need to see is the mainnet, in which supposedly they're working towards. However, at least they did the testnet. That's the way to take a look at it. But overall, though, I think XCN, the recovery, I'm still pretty happy with that, but I feel like there could be a ceiling unless there is an altcoin season, right? Because without an altcoin season, without a drastic change in sentiment when it comes to altcoins, XCN is going to be a little bit limited in terms of how much it could actually recover, in my perspective. But at least seeing that, I think, sort of indicated to me that, you know what, probably XCN was just having too much of a pullback, because sometimes there's going to be a certain point where people just don't want to exit anymore, right? Was that the point that I saw when it comes to XCN not too long ago, when the market cap was like below 200 million? Who knows? We'll wait and see. But if I hypothetically assume that's sort of like the most recent bottom, let's say, the ceiling as of right now to me, right, if I just assume that was the bottom, seems a little bit farther away than the floor. If I assume, again, that is sort of the most recent bottom. So I just haven't given up when it comes to Onyx. That's the basic gist of it, right? I just don't want to give up. I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but I just like it because it's focused on a market that historically has sort of a pretty good presence, but then there's not that many famous competitors. Also on top of that, I like the amount of holders when it comes to XCN, and I like the decent exposure. I don't think Onyx has become mainstream yet, but at least that initial rally that I saw around a year ago, I think sort of made its presence be known, right, within the space of global trade and finance. Had XCN still been below like 100 million in terms of market cap or whatever and kind of did nothing, I feel like it wouldn't have had the initial presence, even though it had the pullback, right, ever since it reached around $1 billion market cap. But still, despite that, that moment right there, it put Onyx's presence within the global trade and finance space. So I think, if anything, if there was an altcoin season, if there is that next leg up, Onyx is sort of already kind of proven its initial phase, right? It's already kind of done the first step. The first step is kind of being known. The next step, hypothetically, is if, let's say, there is an altcoin season, we'll wait and see what happens. But the idea of 25 cents, it hasn't left my mind. I'll have to wait and see, though. But that's pretty much about it. I just want to say thank you for watching this video, and I hope you all have a very nice day. It's Willie the Captain.